Hey, so about 2019, I'm going to try to do a good job to make this really short, which largely means you're going to be here till the Chiefs game tonight. But in 2019, the elders and I, of which I am an elder here, began a conversation about what church looks like and what church fruit should be. How many of you know just a Sunday morning in and of itself, is not really what God intended when he created this idea called the local church, right? Okay, so if you didn't know that, now you know that. Right, so I know you probably sometimes you need a primer. This is the part in the service where you respond. I say things and then you respond, because otherwise I feel discouraged, and we don't want the pastor to feel discouraged, right? Okay, all right, as long as we're all on the same page. Bruce is apparently cold. I don't know why. Yeah, so in 2019, we started this discussion, really trying to evaluate several things that we felt the Lord speak to us in regard to our weak spots as a church. And some of that was around, man, we've got to connect as a family. We want to be able to go deep together. We want to step into service. We want to reach the city. And our vision statement here is transform people, transforming communities. On some level, we were doing a good job with the transforming people, but we had a breakdown in actually reaching our communities and seeing that transformation leave the four walls. And so this was the initiation of our Destiny Group program. And so since 2019, we have been just working and praying and sharpening and refining that mission here so that we could create a very simple and strategic process to be able to fulfill the mandate that we believe God gave us, not only as a house, but honestly, the commandments that he gave us as Christians. How many of you know there's like a plethora of actual commandments that we need to take seriously, lest we stand before the Lord and hear something other than good and faithful servant out of his mouth, right? Yes. Right? It's kind of a big deal. So in wrestling through this, we've actually come to a point where we've been able to describe our process with vernacular that we want to, if you will, kind of brand as this is what harvest is, this is what harvest do. Anyway, a couple of you got that. Right? We are a church that gathers, grows, and goes. Gather, grow, and go. All right, so we're going to start putting this around. I'll put it on the website, but we're going to start talking about this a lot because this is the process that we began in 2019, and it's the process that we have today, even more refined. And what that process does for us, so we have the gathering. This is a gathering. Come on, how many of you love gathering together and the corporate presence of God, There's nothing like coming together as the whole family, under a batch of professional, ish musicians. I say ish because they don't get paid, except for Corey. He gets paid a lot, There's nothing quite like that, and there's really nothing, if you think about it, that allows me to stand up to everybody in the family and say, and this is the way, let's go. Come on together on mission. Let's get together on doctrine and mission. And this is who we are as a church. And this is why we're planted. Hey, everybody who's with me, let's go. Right? So this is where we do that. We gather together on Sundays. We have picnics. We have something at the end of every month, with the exception of December, called the gathering. There's a point of literally gathering people together, to connect, to go deep as family. But the gathering that we do in this church is meant to bring you to the next step, and that's grow. Right? The next step, gather, grow. What's grow? Grow actually is our Destiny Group program. Our Destiny Group program, as you well know, this is our kind of promotional month. So I just wanted to take a minute to highlight to you kind of who we are, what we do here. But it's a program that actually goes throughout the year that allows you to connect in smaller family groups with the aim to be discipled, to connect deeply with God and one another, to be at a place like, you remember the old Cheers show? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, right? It creates that atmosphere. When I first got saved, I joined a church that was 1,500 members. Did I know everybody in the church? No, we didn't. Did I know everybody in the single service that I attended? No, I didn't. But I knew everybody that sat around me. Why? Because that was my Destiny Group. And every time I was gone, they were like, "Hey, where are the Bensons? I don't see their motorcycle helmet," because we always drive a motorcycle every time. Okay, it's just a long story, But they missed us. They knew we were supposed to be there. They would reach out to us. So we established a community. How do you establish a community when there's this many people? Well, you establish that by going deep with a smaller group of people. This is our Destiny Group program. It's available and it's open right now. It's a process of going deep and connecting as family. It's a process that's meant to result in maturity in your faith. And ultimately, that's the go phase. So we gather, we grow together, and we go. What does the go look like? We serve one another in love. How many of you know that's a commandment from Jesus? Right? He commands us to serve in our gifts, and he even actually goes as far, if you've heard my teaching on it, to command us to do that in the local church setting. So it's not exclusive to these four walls. You could be, obviously, and we encourage you to serve outside these four walls, but we need your help here too. For this thing to be great and for us to reach more, we need you to serve here. You know, we need you to make this your house. If you're here and you consider yourself a member, you should be serving someplace. Like, there's no reason why Harvest shouldn't have the best children's ministry on the planet. Oh, no, he said children's ministry. I'm not called to that. But are you called to make this place great? Like, are you called to teach, to lead, to disciple? Because there's an opportunity, I'm telling you, right? So there are so many places where you can kind of get plugged in. You know, even right here, we serve and love. We lead to our potential. Well, I'm not a leader, you might say. Are you married? Do you have children? We'll pray for you. You know, do you have children? You know, do you go to work? Do you drive a car? Okay, because you're leading in all of these environments, whether you know it or not. Leadership isn't always taking a stage and doing what I do. Leadership is at the simplest level. You're being an influence to the people in your sphere, right? So we're leading to our potential in Christ. What does that mean? We're applying the Word of God in maturity such that our relationships are impacted and we're able to actually be Jesus outside of these walls, right? So we serve one another in love. We lead to our potential. Now listen to this one. This is important. And we reach our sphere for Christ. What's it look like? We gather, we grow, and we go. What is go? We serve and love, we lead to our potential, and we reach our sphere for Christ. Boy, I don't know about you. I hope I know about you. But I don't want to stand before Jesus. I'm not an evangelist. I'm telling you, I don't want to stand before Jesus and for him to be like, okay, so let's review the record. How many people did you personally influence for Jesus Christ? So no one? Oh, on the last page, there was one. I don't know. Does anybody feel good about hearing that? I don't want to hear that. Why are we still here? What are we doing? Man, we have got to be about the Father's business. We have to make talking to our friends, family, and our sphere of influence that even includes our workplace and our neighbors, we have got to make talking to them about Jesus normal in our lives. Well, don't talk about politics and religion. Well, really, we just mean religion. Because we talk about politics all the time, don't we? And it becomes this whole divisive thing. Don't let the enemy lie to you. We are still here. Jesus is delaying his second coming because he's partnered with all of our little mechanical pencil dots to bring in the lost in our sphere. Make no mistake about it. This is so significant to God. It's so significant to God that he's actually already paid a price for every one of your sphere. So that his side is already done. Now he's just waiting on you to open your mouth. We've got to make this normal again. We've got to make this Christianity and local church again. So what do? We gather, we grow, we go. What does go look like? We serve one another in love. We lead to our potential. And we reach our sphere for Christ. This is the intent of our Destiny Group program, okay? Hey, I failed to mention, just to throw this out there in case it's in your mind on, like, well, how in the world could I become a Destiny Group leader? You become a leader by joining a group and going through a generation. You know, so that's the start with. Join a group, see what they do, cozy up with the leader and tell them, hey, I think I'd like to do this someday, and they're committed to partnering with you, to help you kind of discover that and to give you feedback and different things like that. But that is the pathway. So if you ever want to lead one of these someday and you're like, how in the world do I do that? Then you've got to jump in this year because all the groups run for, 8 or 9 months. So you don't want to miss your opportunity and then be a year behind in leading something critical and amazing come 2024. So.